Hi, good afternoon, everybody. We are waiting, we are holding you back from the lunch, so we'll do a quick and interesting discussion. Thank you, co-panelists, for being here. Uh, I think the topic is about seismic shifts happening in the industry and what is the vision for the future. And there's been some seismic shifts in the country, in Indonesia, which we are not happy about. So I would like a 30-second silence for what has happened at Palu, what has happened at Lombok and other places. Thank you for your patience and thank you for being along with us in prayers for Palu. Other than that, talking about seismic shifts, I was smoking downstairs with Mr. Rohit Dadwal, who's the managing director for MMA, and he was complaining about the seismic shift that WhatsApp is causing in his life. So he says, what do I do? How do I get rid of it? Rohit, are you proud of that? Where are you? I can't see you. Anyway, so we'll get on with the panel, and we have Frinzi here, the lady with whom I would like to begin. So Frinzi, do you think marketeers are ready or are they rattled at the pace of change that is taking place in the consumer landscape in Indonesia? And you can answer that best because you are right there.
Because I'm right here.
You are right here and you are right within Excel. You are driving the change. So do you think you yourself are ready or are you rattled as a marketeer?
Oh, I don't rattle. You know that, Anwar.
Yeah. Ask me. Some
Yeah.
good experiences.
No. On the serious side, let's just limit the changes that we're talking about with the impact of technology in terms of how consumers are actually using media, right? The media industry is changing because of technology in terms of how consumers are actually using the media now, not only for seeking information, but also it's becoming their main media. Unlike you, which your main media would be TV, right? I would assume that. Our customers nowadays are using digital as the main media, whereby they seek information, they seek entertainment, they seek support and also recommendation, and they can get it in real time. So, and the pace of changes is very fast. So how do we marketers are we ready or not? I think I wouldn't say that we as marketers are rattled, but rather than we are kind of moving in different pace. So some of us are actually starting at the earlier phase of shifting from conventional media to digital media. Some are more advanced in terms of utilizing the digital media not only for display ads, but also using it for more like performance-driven marketing. And also even to the next step, which is more on the getting some insights from the customers, and then as a feedback for us to actually improve our service to the customers.
Okay, so on that note, thank you for being blunt, honest, and putting me in a spot. The next question is for Mark right after this, because I believe while Frinzi stands out and she is ready, she is not rattled. However, there are more agencies and CMOs that I come across, and I am also one of them. Are they pulverized or confused at the number of tech companies who are reaching out to them? And how would you advise them to choose the right partner and make the right decision?
Sure. Well, first, let me say thank you, everyone, for holding the power between you and lunch. This is really exciting for me.
Don't forget your Indomie Goreng before you go back.
I will also remember to do that. I would say, yes, I can appreciate that there's hundreds to thousands of partners, potential partners that are calling on these agencies and CMOs on a daily basis. And it's tough to really understand who's good at what and who's really just blowing smoke, right? And I think for me, the way that I see it is finding the right partner is a lot like dating, right? You have to experience a number of different relationships to understand ultimately what feels right. But I think there's a few key criteria you can consider as you think about how to sift through all of that noise. The first of which is trust, right? I think you need to find a partner who, can you trust that they have you and your brand's best interests in mind, right? Can you trust that if there's a pending policy change coming up that will significantly impact your risk or the way that you do business, are they taking that seriously enough? Do you trust them to know where your ads are running, who you're targeting, what the ads look like? And especially in the mobile app side of things where we play with fraud, does this partner seem to be one that can take a proactive view and help you try to prevent fraud rather than just simply try to hide it? I think for marketers, obviously, word of mouth is big. So speaking with your industry counterparts, understanding who's done well in certain areas and who hasn't, that's certainly helpful. And I would, of course, caution that and say that just because one partner works or doesn't, that doesn't mean you'll get the same outcome. But I also think that, on the reputation side of things, looking for partners who are able to provide more value to the industry simply are different than just offering a service, right? What we've seen success with is releasing index reports, research reports on mobile gaming, mobile shopping, app usage in different regions, and that has helped us develop a relationship with a lot of these partners before even speaking with them.
Sure. So, Frenzy, do you think that is an approach being taken by most of the tech companies who catch up with you regarding ad tech, or is it different from what Mark says?
We have a lot of partnership with the ed tech companies, and I think from the marketer's point of view, it's more on we always have to start from the consumers. So what do they need, and how can we actually give it to them, and who will be the right partner for us to deliver that to the customer? I think that should always be the anchor point.
Sure. I think a very good point made. So on that note, I think I would like to ask Jason that, Jason, while we are talking about disruption, when I last spoke to you, you said that you are now one of the significant television broadcasters in Indonesia and worldwide. So therefore, there has been this sudden surge in OTTs. Yeah? So do you believe it is challenging the broadcasters, or are they welcoming the change? Because we have some broadcasters here. I saw Alvin a while back. I saw Momon and some others as well. So what's your message to them?
Cool. So I think similar to Mark, firstly, thank you MMA, thank you Rohit, and thank you Anwesh for the opportunity. Terima kasih juga kepada bapak-bapak dan ibu-ibu sekalian for allowing us to say a few words. I think to answer that question, can you just put up the one data set that I shared so that we have some context on my answer? So basically what I'm about to show you is the seismic shift happening in the US in terms of audience viewing from, let's say, traditional broadcasters away from where they're spending their time. So this graph here on the right is basically year on year the reduction or the percentage reduction of customers spending time or watching, let's call it traditional TV, right? And the graph next to it is basically a quarter-on-quarter comparison over the last 8 years by age group in terms of the move away from watching, let's say, pay TV or broadcasters. Now, I'm not saying that these shifts are going to happen as dramatically in Indonesia. It could be more dramatic, actually, but it could also be less dramatic. But I think it's safe to assume that these trends are also happening here and will start to happen really quickly, right? So this is a context of actually why you've seen a sprout of, let's say, OTT video providers, because as Frenzy said, you need to go where the customers are going. You need to provide a service or a proposition that's actually in line with what the customers want. And with mobile providers and with mobile gadgets and also with improving speeds of mobile networks, hey, guess what? Customers, unlike me when I was a child where I had to plan my whole TV watching based on the time or when MacGyver is on or when A-Team is on, I'm showing my age, it's basically whenever, wherever, on your mobile, on your iPad, on your computer, on anything where you have an internet connection, a smartphone to actually watch what you want to watch. So this is happening, right? And my experience working with the broadcasters here in Indonesia is, look, the broadcasters are some of the smartest minds in Indonesia. They know this is happening. So I would say that they...
Now you know why TV. Prinzi, that's your answer.
So I would say that they are actually embracing the change. They know this is happening. I mean, let's take a great example. SCTV or SCMA, they've got Video.com. Video.com is like the local YouTube, super successful, right? So they are embracing it. Now, to me, I think the key question for the broadcasters, in which I think we'd love to work with you to move as these audiences move, is can we or can you make the change as fast, as agile, and as adaptive at how quickly audiences are moving, right? And I think an example of that is we've got now some of the biggest free-to-air channels on iFlix. We've got some of the biggest regional news and biggest local news channels on iFlix. Now, why? Because we're very privileged, very blessed that the audiences of the younger generation is on iFlix, right? So we see ourselves as an extension to actually your broadcast channels. So it's happening. I know you guys are embracing it. Can we work together to move as quickly and as adaptively as the customer demands?
So basically, long-term evolution of television. That's what you are, trying to drive here in this country and worldwide. So great, Jason. And I think on this panel, the most experienced mind sitting is Suresh. So what I would like to ask him is, while all this is being said, do you think a lot is being made of data and measurement? A lot about quantitative, and somewhere marketeers are forgetting about qualitative aspects in building brands and being very driven by decisions just to be taken on data?
Thanks for calling me old, by the way.
I didn't say you're old.
Yeah, that's
You're the
how
youngest.
experience is read, and I'll take that. I'll answer your question differently. And essentially, to me, there are three things I think mobile or digital needs to be looking at going forward. The first is the neglected 75% in Indonesia. So if you look at 25% of Indonesian population sits in big cities. Most of what people in this room do largely is catering to big cities. For them, that's what we see as Indonesia. But growth is happening in small towns. Small towns account for around 25% of population. They are growing the fastest. They're also where a lot of FMCG products are growing. But often they are neglected. And it's really important for us or marketers to be looking at them, understanding their aspirations, and in some sense designing for them, rather than assuming Jakarta is where Indonesia is. So that's the first point. The second point is, again, from a consumer perspective, a lot of consumers are complaining about confusion. And the word we hear most often is bingung. There is a lot of confusion, and I don't think we are helping their cause by confusing things further. So it will become really important to make things simple, be it messaging, be it in design of apps, having complicated portals. So simplicity is really important. In fact, we are seeing trend where consumers are actually consolidating the number of apps they have on their phone. So there was a period where they were getting more apps. Now they're consolidating. Why are they consolidating? Because they say they've settled on, this is what matters to me, that's the purpose of this app. So it's really important as marketers as well to understand the thinking behind it, which is make it simple for me, make it more focused and purposeful for me. Right? The third one, and linked to this, is the role of different platforms, the role of different channels is going to become more and more important. I think more and more we use digital platforms as just reach platforms. I think we are, looking the wrong side. We've got to be looking at purpose. Consumers are already doing that. Even the way they've looked at YouTube has now evolved considerably. So it's very important to understand. So if I want to conclude, look at the neglected Indonesia. Please, and I'm voting for small town guys, right? Second, make things simple, and third, understand purpose behind what you're doing.
Thank you, Suresh. I think very valid points. We did a study at our organization called Invisible Indonesia, where we have seen this trend. That's where the population is growing double the size of Indonesia in terms of a growth rate, and even consumption is 2x in almost 80% of the categories. So very valid point, and That's the kind of data somebody like Frenzy is sitting on at her organization. Even Jason today is catering to that. And thirdly, Mark is trying to create disruption there by doing hyperlocalization and mass personalization, right? So if I am to look at concluding this discussion, while the points have been great, I think if I want to conclude this discussion and I want to ask each of you, what would be your vision of the future? 1, 2, 3. 3 points that you would want to make. We'll start with Mark.
Sure, I think, well, if I look in the immediate future, everybody here will be going to lunch. That's my first one.
Great.
No, but I think in the vein of disruption, right, we'll continue to see ever-changing policies, new technologies that will disrupt the way that things are working today, whether it's a new consent management platform for something around like post-GDPR or some similar type of policy here, or it is, you know, the header bidding coming into the mobile app ecosystem. I think that will really shift the way that networks and exchanges approach the business. But I think, you know, ultimately what we have been seeing is that marketers, in particular brands, who traditionally are moving from, or have been sort of flighting campaigns, are moving to this always-on type of campaigns. And that's been traditional on the performance side of things, but we're even seeing this with a lot of the brands who, you know, for a major sports brand, for instance, they first have started with flighted campaigns, but have been working with us on a consistent basis now because they now see marketing more as a revenue generator, a revenue center, than just a cost center.
Yes.
Frenzy?
Well, I think I will just highlight one point, which is it's about, I think, one of the keyword that is embracing the change. So we need to admit and acknowledge as marketer that the relationship between brand and the consumers are changing dramatically. We used to be, as brand people, sit you know, at the driver's seat, and now it's the other way around. They have the say on whether they want to continue relationship with us or not. So embrace that and acknowledge that and try to, you know, change in order not to be left behind. So always put the consumers at the forefront of every decision that you make.
Jason?
Cool. So you said 3 points, right? So I'll let it three different ways. So iFlix Global, we're very clear that our number one goal is to revolutionize entertainment for the 1 billion people in emerging markets. What does it mean in Indonesia? It means in Indonesia, we want to be the number one entertainment or video service for local Indonesian content, right? And the measurement for that that was given to us by our chairman and co-founder, Patrick Grove, is 2020. So in 2020, iFlix will produce an original that will be seen by 20 million viewers in Indonesia. So that's in 2 years' time. And to build on Suresh's point, we cannot do that by focusing on the 20 million people in Jabodetabek. We have to focus on the rest of the 247 million people outside of there. So I agree with you. I'm also for the people outside of Jakarta. Thank you.
Suresh?
I did say my 3 points, but I elaborate on one. The one which is the Axton's presentation in the morning was, to me, that's the direction where we need to head in terms of leveraging the purposive power of mobile. I think, especially going back to small towns, rural areas, and looking at how we can use the power of mobile to help people or to help people help themselves. That's my personal kind of view around this.
So I think very good points made. If I have to just recount the 3 points, what Mark said is mobile technology can be used as a revenue generator as well as a brand builder. What Frenzy said is we need to embrace change and recognize that there is confusion and we need to sort that confusion out. What Jason said is be receptive, understand what kind of entertainment they want and reach out to them and look beyond Jakarta. And Suresh said, all of it can be done through this single device where you can not only empower them and bring change, but you can also build your brands and send your messages accordingly. Yeah, you had a point.
Once you finish. Are you done?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay, so just at the last say, if anyone wants a 12-month free iFlix subscription, and if you would like a wonderful Batik iFlix t-shirt, just drop me a line at jason.m@iflix.com, and I'll make sure it gets to you in 7 days. So
Yeah,
thank you.
So great. Thank you, guys. So any questions?
Oh, we got questions.
Any questions for the panelists? Yeah, Mr. Edwin Webisino, can somebody give him the mic, please?
Thank you, the panelists. Just one question. I mean, we've been through the first screen, TV, second screen, laptop, third screen, mobile.
Your question is to whom, Edwin?
The whole panel,
Oh my
actually.
God.
Anwar.
Okay, not me. Thank you.
And to you as well,
Oh my God.
actually, because you represent operators, channels, and research as well.
Okay.
So my question is, we have seen from the morning the changing role of mobile, that it has encompassed everything from entertainment, information, commerce, and everything. But I'm not sure that TV, like the previous speaker said, TV nor the ordinary laptop or PC would die out. They would just change roles. Like we have color TV, black and whites become black and white monitors, and they're good for securities. My question to the panel, and you as well, Anwesh, is that with this new rise of mobile, what would you think the future or the role of the second two screens would be?
Okay, so I think the best person to answer that question would either be Frinzi or Mr. Jason, because one is in a telco, the other is ex-telco.
You want to start?
Ladies first.
Thank you for putting me on the spot. Okay, I would say that the role of TV for specifically the consumers in Indonesia will remain important. It's just that when like I said just now, that we used to treat TV as the main media. It might be true for the non-urban, still very much true for the non-urban, but for urban, it becomes a second media. That's one. So it's about customization. Who are you talking to? Second is that what are you going to use it for? If I'm specifically talking about TV, then it's about pushing a very general message. It's to build your brand awareness, simply to leverage on the reach, the massive reach of TV. But if you're seeking to engage your customers, your potential customers, then TV would not be the best media to choose. So it will be digital. Now, what would be the role of the second screen? I think it still has the convenience of the larger screen, and it has the convenience of conveying a more detailed information. So when, for example, let's imagine the consumer journey. The first that they see your ads is probably from conventional media. They see on TV, or they see your billboards, or they see your retail branding, and then they will, if they're interested, then they might want to find out a little bit more. And they might go to either, if in the convenience of the office or at home, they might go to the second screen, which is laptop, or if they're on the go, then they will find information about you on a mobile. So it's about thinking again from the consumer point of view, the consumer journey, and which media will be more suitable on what stage of the consumer journey.
So in effect, the basics of media planning doesn't change.
No.
Thank you. So anything anybody wants to add?
So
as a
I'll just
ending
be
note?
quick because I think time's up, right?
Yeah, the time is up. It's
So
been twice they have told me.
I'll just share the behaviors we see today. So I don't know what the future holds. The customer will decide. My humble opinion is that actually TVs will continue to play a role. In fact, the amount of TVs in households today is much more than any time before, and it's actually growing. So on iFlix today, 70% of our viewing is actually on mobile networks, and 80% of our viewing are actually on mobile devices. However, in the last 6 months, we are actually seen bigger screens start to now move that trend the other way. And that's because, let's take Indonesian content, for example, the quality of Indonesian content and the quality of, and the volume of content is actually increasing, which means these formats or forms of longer forms are actually better viewed on the TV. So I think I agree with you. It will continue to play a role. And whilst we've seen a huge rise in mobile viewing, in the last 6 months, we're actually seeing the rise of TV starting to eat back into that. Now, they're still watching it over IP, or over mobile or broadband networks, but you want to watch certain things on certain devices. So to me, I think it's still going to play a role.
I think also the higher penetration, the growing penetration of smart home, like the smart TVs,
Yeah.
the IoTs, it will change the role of TV. The consumption of entertainment would be done at home on TV, but through IP, right?
Yeah.
Thank you. And on that note, I want to thank everybody on the panel. All the three gentlemen and the lady would be available here all day. So if you have any other questions, you can walk up to them and take their email ID or have a conversation with them. Thank you, guys. Thank you for being patient. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much for all the panel. We'd like to request you to remain where you are, to stay where you are,
Oh, not
folks. And of course, it's very informative. You have so much to share. We're very sorry again for the time constraints, but of course, everybody here can contact you for further. Sorry.
I said it was 30, you made it 20. So credit to the panelists to keep it within 20.
Can we give it up again for the panels, everyone, for just keeping it short and sweet and full of information. All right, so we'd like to present a token of appreciation. So Mr. Hale first? All right, so I'll just start from the bottom. Here you go. Thank you very much, sir.
Thanks.
All the best. And of course, Mrs. Zulkarnain, thank you very much for your time. And of course, Mr. Montero,
Thank you.
thank you.
Trade you.
And maybe free membership for everyone or
Yep.
something like that. Mr. Subramanian, thank you very much, sir. And of course, our moderator, Mr. Bose. Can we have a round of applause once again? Folks, can we have a photo op first before we go?
With this?
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Next, of course, this is also an agenda that everyone's been waiting for. We'll be enjoying a beautiful, lovely buffet spread, at the Asia Restaurant. That's Asia Restaurant downstairs at the lobby level. And we will meet you back here at 1:30, where we'll be continuing with more exciting and insightful topics and speakers. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy your networking and enjoy your lunch. We'll see you at 1:30. Thank you.